Let's speak now to Sacha Lord, former Labour Party donor, Andy Burnham's former nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester. Sacha, welcome aboard. Let's start off with the closure of pubs. What is going on here? Why are so many closing? Is it in part to do with things such as energy bills, things which one could argue the government should have tried to take better control of? Is it due to the increase in national employers' national insurance? Or is it just because Britons just don't go to the pub anymore?
I think it's a mixture of quite a few things, Alex. You're absolutely right. We are taxed more heavily than any other sector. And just to put that into perspective, every summer I've got friends that go on holiday to Spain and places like that, and they're messaging me to say, why am I paying £6.50 for a pint? Maybe £8 in London I'm now hearing, when actually in Spain I'm paying €2.50 for it. And it's simple. If you look at alcohol duty, a pint in the UK is taxed 20 times more than a pint in Germany, 20 times more. But you just mentioned it. National insurance was the final nail in the coffin. And I was having a conversation on Wednesday that actually, I'll be honest with you, it broke my heart. It was a landlord who has had the same pub for 14 years. Him and his family live above the pub. The pub was in Coventry. And he's going to trade through Christmas because in Christmas period, you can take up to a third of your whole annual turnover. And in January, he's going to hand the keys back because it's not viable. It's not tenable. He's lost his business. He's lost his home. You know, that's what people forget. Yeah. A pub is more than just a pint, Alex.
Yeah.
You know, I think back to my granddad who lost my grandma. He'd finished work and he'd go and sit in the pub after work. It's not a great business model, but he'd sit there nursing the same pint for 2 hours. And that's when he'd see his friends. When the pubs close, they said the beating heart of our high street, we're losing communities. Yeah. And they're there to support people's loneliness.
What is so sad, actually, it's exactly those sorts of pubs that seem to be on the sharp end of things as well. I mean, I've just moved out to sort of nearish the middle of nowhere and by myself. And if it wasn't for my local, which is amazing, like already in a matter of months, I know everybody in there. You know, Tina, the brilliant landlady. Just want to shout out Kenyan Ken, Afro Shell, the brilliant Mia, Tommy the Bag, Magic Mike. I mean, they are just, these people have become my family. I know that I'm not. If I'm sitting in my house by myself, I don't have to be alone. I can go in there and I would just, you know, my instant friendship group. And we're from all walks of life. You couldn't have put a sort of more random ragtag group of people together, all sorts of races and accents and political opinions. But we come together as a family. And that's what pubs represent. It is it leads to community erosion. It breaks my heart. I actually think that we need to do something proactive about protecting pubs in particular, making sure that there's got to be some sort of system where, especially if it's a village or a community pub, it gets to keep its doors open.
I think you're right, Alex, and this might surprise you actually from someone who used to be in the Labour Party, but the chancellor that gave the most support for hospitality in the last 20 years was Rishi Sunak. Yeah. And I know it's a big debate now, did it spread the virus? Yes, it did, but he did that eat out to help out. But more importantly, he reduced VAT from 20% down to 5%. That saved businesses and that saved jobs. And, you know, we're now hearing about income tax increases and things like that. And I just don't think, you know, if that is your manifesto, if you promise something in your manifesto, you should not be allowed to break your promise. You know, I'm known for putting on festivals, and I could easily say to you, well, do you know what? I've just bought Calvin Harris, Fatboy Slim and David Guetta. I'm going to send 40,000 tickets at £100 each. And actually, when you turn up, I've got some local wedding DJ there from Salford. It's the equivalent. You know, it is wrong what they're doing. People voted for them, people supported them, and this will be the second time she's broken a manifesto.
My understanding is that the IMF was sort of eyeing up the UK's economy, and because there were promises to put through the welfare bill, it said, OK, we're not going to sort of sound the alarm like it has done in France, that you are basically circling the plug hole. Now, of course, the welfare bill didn't make it through Parliament because most of the Labour Party protested against it. But it's very clear when you look at the scale of how many people now are not in work, people who are claiming sick leave for questionable conditions. I remember sort of, 20 years ago when we had programmes on TV like Benefit Street. It was all about, oh, here's Bob. He claims he's got a bad back and here's a picture of him on Facebook skydiving. Well, now the problem is here's Camilla who says that she's got anxiety and can't go to work and is therefore or being paid to sit at home by the likes of me. But is it not the case that that is what needs to be cut here? And yes, it's going to be difficult for many people in the Labour Party to lump it. But if there was some honesty, if Rachel Reeves stood at the dispatch box whenever she's going to give her budget and said, look, I'm going to be honest with you here. If we don't do this, then we are going to be in so much trouble that there will be no welfare state at all for anybody, and actually say to her backbenchers, we have to get beyond politics now. These measures need to be taken, rather than crumbling and caving in to people who clearly don't know how to run an economy and carry on careering the car off the end of a cliff, or once again coming to the likes of me to pay more when I don't really cost the state anything. And I'm fed up to death of being taxed left, right and centre. They always go, right, we need to go after the rich. It's always Middle England who it falls upon, because the rich have very clever schemes to avoid paying taxes. They've always got ways to appoint financial advisors or move assets around. So it always ends up being the middle earners like me. And when you actually look, if you take away cost of living and the amount of tax I pay, I probably have as much sort of spare cash as somebody on an income far lower than me, if not even somebody with 7 kids who's not earning anything at all.
You're right. I also think she'd get a lot of respect if she took some personal responsibility from the mistakes that were made in the last budget. No, she's blaming everybody else at the moment. She's throwing the kitchen sink at it. Was it Brexit? 14 years of Tory government. Well, they've been in government now for 18 months. No, take personal responsibility. Since the NI increase, there have been 250,000 job losses. Half of those, practically exactly 50%, are in hospitality. And when you break that down, Alex, the vast majority of those jobs are for the younger people. You know, a Saturday job in the pub or something like that that's going to support you going through university or college. And I've been in this sector for 30 years. I've never seen it so bad. I really haven't. And when we're talking about taxing people, what they're doing now is they're sending out all these leaked things that just to sense check the public. The one that blew my mind yesterday, we've got the Prime Minister and his whole entourage at the moment over at COP30 in Brazil, all took separate flights to get there, you know, running up their air miles. And the story that came out yesterday in the Telegraph was, you know, they're pushing this green agenda. We all want it to be green, 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 green. But I tell you what, we're now going to start taxing the electric cars. And how hypocritical is that?
Oh, it's crazy.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh, Sacha, thank you ever so much. Brilliant having you on the programme. And I love the fact you delivered all the doom and gloom with such optimism and energy. That's the way we need all the horror stories told to us.